Hello, welcome back. Some more red, white, and royal blue today. I am very excited. Now, firstly, I'd like to issue a apology for the rest of this video. I'm only doing chapter 7 today. Now, I know, I hear it. You should be doing 2 chapters. It's not that hard to read. I get it. I really do. But so far, chapter 7 has kind of been my favorite chapter. And I think it feels, I don't know why, it feels a lot longer than all the others. I don't know if it is, I didn't actually check, but so much happened and I was reading it. You know, I was getting it read, I was loving it, I was enjoying it. I kept turning the page and every little arc in it that finished, I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna end. The chapter's gonna be done, next page, we're done. And it just kept going and new bits came up and all this different stuff and I was loving every second of it, but I was like, there's so much going on. And I was like, I don't want to miss any of this and I don't want to do a 4-hour video on 2 chapters. So I was like, no, I think I'm going to be good. I think I'm just going to stick to chapter 7 because I like so many parts of it. I want to do it justice. There's also a lot of bigger bits that I think I'm just going to read fully out because I really there was so many chunks of text that I just loved so much and I was enjoying it. I was digesting the words. I was like, yes, this is this, I don't know. We'll get into it and you'll see all the bits that I was just loving. But something about this chapter was just weirdly magical. I don't know. So I didn't want to not do it justice as a chapter that I've thoroughly enjoyed. I've enjoyed all of them. This one's just really sticking out to me currently. And I'll try my best to get another I'll catch myself up. I'll do chapter 8 and then another 2 chapters. Hopefully in within a week of this, I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to get it done and get through so I'm not dragging it on too long. I'm loving the book. I'm savoring it. I really don't want it to be over because I feel like I'm almost... Well, that doesn't look halfway... I swear it looked more halfway through when I looked at it. I'm close to being halfway through. Actually, you know what? With chapter... that done... We're not far. The only other thing is that my chair is getting really squeaky at the moment, so I'm sorry if you hear any of it. I'm a fidgeter. I get restless, so just ignore any squeaky sounds you hear. But for now, let's get into chapter 7. So to start, we left off where he's like, I'm trying to get out of Germany and blah blah blah. Not get out of the thing in Germany. He does. It starts, he gets out of Germany. We knew he would. He was going to do anything to see his beautiful hookup. And then, the way they just said, Alex doesn't know a word in any language to describe it when, they're having their fun, when they're having good times. He forgets they don't spend the night, so they do. I feel like they have this constant way in this book, and I think it's fantastic, where they have these self-imposed rules on each other and then they completely break it and it's the cutest thing ever. I hated him. Oh, actually I kind of think he's attractive. He kisses me, we won't kiss again, we kiss again, we're not gonna they had this whole things happen, they're like, no, that's not how it's gonna work, and then that's how it works. I think it's just so fun to just be like, yeah, screw it, you guys are husbands, that's obviously how it's how it's gonna be. And then we get back from Germany. Zara is congratulating us on such a good job. And I'm like, if only she knew. And she's like, wow, you're doing so good at your, international relations and stuff. Looking like you're best friends with the prince. Well, we're best friends with the prince. And we're also getting blowjobs from the prince. We're having the best time. And he's going to do everything he possibly can to see him as much as you want. Yeah, you would think, we see later in the chapter that June's kind of caught on. I feel like Zara should be catching on too. She's like, didn't you hate this guy? Why are you there all the time? I love, they kind of well, he's just, committed to his work. No, he's committed to blowjobs. And that's what he wants. I just think it's so funny. And then they send a couple more naughty emails. I'm going to kiss you until you forget how to talk. Oh, so cute. Then I feel like in this chapter / the book, they go to a lot of, and I don't know, galas? I think it's a gala, but again, maybe Americans say gala? I don't know. A ball thing, charity, they have a lot of events to do. Their social calendar is full. Like, I feel like in this chapter alone we got, oh, we went to this gala, we went to this gala, and we went to this. I'm like, how the hell do you, like, I get it, you're the first son of the president and the Prince of England, but like, oh my god, you guys are doing things so, I want to, why is not, I want to go to like 3 galas in a week. That'd be fun. Except you'd have to buy a suit. But that's a whole different, that's a problem. But they're like smiling in front of the cameras and he's like, I want you alone now. The chemistry written, like, obviously the movie can't show it all just because this has like, so, like, it all, but I feel like they both do it in such like different ways. Like reading through the comments, I keep thinking about, you know, the movie still and the book. This does it well, and the things that are written, you can see it, you can read it, you feel it, like it just adds so much more. But I will say in the movie, just their like facial expressions, having that is so good. But you know, they get drunk, as you know, that's a theme of this chapter too. They are drunk a lot, but I'm reading this snippet out because there was just so many ones I enjoyed. There's a lot of champagne and kissing, and buttercream from birthday cupcake Henry's explicitly procured smeared around Alex's mouth. Henry's chest, Alex's throat, between Henry's hips. Henry pins his wrist to the mattress and swallows him down, and Alex is drunk and fucking transported, feeling every moment of 22 years and not a single day older, some kind of hedonistic youth of history. Birthday head from another country's prince will do that. Just the way, oh yeah, it was Alex's birthday. I forgot about that. But like, just the way they play on the joke of just like, they're just young people in love, which is the cutest thing ever. And then they also happen to be the first son of the United States and the Prince of England. It gets me every time. It makes me so, like, I read from, you know, from another country's prince, just so casually. Like, to imagine living their lives. We're just, you know, I'm just having sex with the Prince of England. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding. The casualness of it is like, does he realize what his life is like? I think it's great. It's amazing. Just like the premise of it and the way she writes this is fantastic, and it's just like, it makes me laugh and smile. Then we jump down just a little bit. Alex's heart goes so fucking wild that he has to put his head in his hands for a full minute. Just getting a couple of pictures. You know, it's sad that they always have to, because even in like one page, you jump from them being together and not being together so quick. And it's so sad, but I love how he's like, bro, you got to get Snapchat, because he's like, I want naughty times. But also just to like, he's just like crying out that he wants to see him more. And the way he's falling in love. Like every time he sees him now, he's like, what does it say here? You know, he has to put his hands in his head in his hands for a full minute, and then in brackets, but like, it's fine. It's not a whole thing. Yes, it is a whole thing. Figure out your emotions, Alex, because you're in love. You are in love so hard, and it's so cute, and I love it the most. But I feel like the way that both of them don't like take into account what they're feeling half the time, they just like, oh, you know, it's fine, nothing's a thing, even though they're falling in love, but they just ignore it. And they care about each other's feelings, which is really cute, but don't understand their own. They like give each other opinions and help, and they talk about it, but no, when it comes to their own feelings, they're both oblivious, and it's hilarious. And it does get mentioned a couple more times, you know, boys and their feelings and things like that. But I just love the way she writes them to be so dense. They're just like young guys not knowing anything. I think it's the best thing ever. Speaking of the best thing ever, this chapter really captures a lot of the not best things. not in that way. It's just, we get talking a lot about, it's a very Henry central chapter, which I love, and it's them finding more about each other, talking about like their different like emotional states, like depressive episodes, how there's a lot behind closed doors, especially with Henry, who's such a complex character, and it's fantastic. But we started out with, but sometimes he's taken over by a dark mood, an unusually Arabic wit, strange and vitrified. He'll withdraw for hours or days, and Alex comes to understand this is a grief time. little bouts of depression or times of too much. It's just, like, it's so sad because as we get into it more and we learn so much about Henry in this chapter, it really, like, fills out his character a lot. Not that he wasn't, but it gives so much more to his complexities. It makes you so happy to know when he's happy and completely understand, like, his different sides. I don't know, like, I feel like you can relate it to different people. Like, you can see why it's just so sad. Like, grief is a horrible thing. Like, the themes, emotions, and like themes in this chapter are fantastic, and she just gets into them. And I like that there's no, like, sugarcoating it, and I like the way that they talk about, they're on the phone for, I'm pretty sure, like, hours, because there's one point where it's like he had to plug his phone in because it was about to die. But it was finally this chapter of, yes, we love to fuck, yes, we like to kiss, yes, we like to be dickheads to each other, but this is where kind of not even the romance, it's just like we're getting to the deep stuff, that good trauma bonding. Obviously not, well, a little, but they're telling each other the personal things, the things that they don't tell everyone else, someone that you tell a closest friend or someone you love. And that just sticks out to me in this chapter so much. Like, how much they're starting to mean to each other and how much they're willing to share. Like, obviously they talk about how, they don't really talk about things, but I am happy they do, and I think Henry is too, but we'll get into it more. And they just become, like, they're just becoming husbands. I will say it forever. They just, the way they slowly just are falling in love, like, it's so quick and so slow at the same time, which I think is beautiful. I love this little excerpt here. It's weird that the thing with Henry could make him understand a huge part of himself, but it does. When he sinks into his thoughts of Henry's hands, square knuckles and elegant fingers, he wonders how he never realized this before. When he sees Henry at the next gala in Berlin, he feels a gravitational pull, chases it down, and then back in the limo, he binds Henry's wrist to a hotel bedpost with his own necktie. He knows himself better. Obviously, it goes into some, like, a little bit of, like, kinky, like, sex stuff, but him talking about, Henry makes him know himself. It's beautiful, and it has been this, like, journey of discovery. Obviously, Alex figuring out his, like, bisexuality, learning to, love a man, kind of gaining friends, gaining love. Obviously, there's this whole bit about Henry, like, really knows his queer history and all the, like, important things that go on in the world, and, makes foundations for them and works closely with that. And that's led Alex to, like, become more knowledgeable about different queer history, and then that helps him understand himself even more. Like, everything about each other, I feel like, is really good for them. They both, like, better themselves a lot, which is good. Like, obviously, I don't know, like, I've seen the movie, but I don't know how much we're going to get in the book, but I feel like that is such a good thing in a story. I love characters that make each other better. Like, obviously you have those fun ones where they're bad for each other, but they love it. But there's nothing better than seeing two characters really build each other up. I think it's beautiful. I love it. I think anyone wants most in real life, someone that, like, pushes you, makes you better, makes you learn, makes you discover things about yourself. And I think the way it's written is just so fantastic. I love it so much. I enjoy it more than anything. But then we get a bit more of some, on a complete flip side, we get a bit more of Zara Sass. And in the movie, I will say I loved her so much. Like, the way that actor did all her lines were absolutely fantastic. She was hilarious. Like, every bit of sass was done so well. And they weren't completely, like, they were a bit unique, because, like, from what we've seen in the book to the lines she had, they're similar but different. But we get even more, and I love every bit of it, so I'm going to read it out. She says, and to remind you, she goes on, I will chop my own tit off before I let you pull some idiotic stunt to cause your mother, our first female president, to be the first president to lose re-election since H-fucking-W. Do you understand me? I will lock you in your room for the next year if I have to, and you can take your finals by fucking smoke signal. I will staple your dick to the inside of your leg if that keeps keeps it in your fucking pants. She returns to her notes with smooth professionalism, as if she has not just threatened his life. Behind her, he can see June at her place in the table, very clearly aware that he's lying to. I just, the way that she just goes on these complete rampage, like insults is fantastic. I think it's the best. I think you can tell that they're close in the way that she is an asshole to him. Asshole in this context being the best sort of, like, hilarious, wit, threatening, but also very honest. And you can tell that they have had a long history together, and we see that more in this chapter. Everything in this chapter is just giving us more and more. Like, some of the chapters have been, like, the most fantastic, but they're not giving the most information. This chapter, I feel like, is full of information, and it's fantastic. Then, see, this is why this chapter had to be its own. Because we go straight from, another scene to the last name scene. Like, we just get transported to such things. I'm like, oh, we'll be done. No, we're getting this new scene. So we get them in their little, like, where was it? A cafe somewhere. Alex asks, do you have a last name? Which I think is great. And, you get the, my full name is Henry George Edward James Fox, Mount Kristen Windsor. That, like, it is, and then, it's Alexander Gabriel Claremont Diaz. They are mouthful names. Like, wow. Holy shit. I just think it's a fun scene because it was cute in the movie, and that's why I'm highlighting it. But I agree that those names are long. I couldn't imagine, does Henry have to, like, introduce himself by his full name a lot? Because if he does, I would consider a legal change. Can you? Ooh, great question. Could a royal member legally change their name? I guess maybe if they've, like, exited royal life, if they, like, give it up and, like, disappear from that life, you probably could. But, like, if you're in the royal family, could you be like, can I have a short? No. They seem to have no ability to be able to do what they want. So I think I just answered my question for me. And then we really start, it starts funny, but Henry's going into a bit of they're on the phone, Henry's feeling a bit sad, and they're doing do you want to talk about it? And then Henry says, I'm not historically great at talking about things, Henry says. Alex follows up with, I wasn't historically great at blowjobs, but we all gotta learn to grow, sweetheart. Which I think is hilarious and a good, like, segue into, easing Henry into, like, talking about things, which he doesn't do much. But in this chapter, he starts, and it's fantastic, and learning more about him is great. But to add before we go into it, he rolls over onto his stomach, considers, and very deliberately says, baby. It's become a thing, baby. He knows it's become a thing. He's slipped up and accidentally said it a few times, and each time, Henry positively melts and Alex pretends not to notice. But he's above playing dirty here. The way that they have the, like, nickname. Obviously, like, most couples have nicknames. It's just, from here, like, as soon as I hear baby, I go straight back into that scene where, they have he finally gets a mobile after the emails have leaked, and he needs to hear from him, and he says, baby, and it, like, comes out all, like, rushed and, like, panicked, and everything in that scene was so much all at once, and it was so sweet. So I saw baby for the first time, because in the movie they don't talk about it earlier, and I was like, holy shit, we're getting some backstory on it, and I loved it. It was so cute, it was so amazing. I was like, oh, yes, this is the stuff I've been waiting for. Anywho, to get deeper into it, Henry starts talking about all his, a lot of things that have happened in his life, especially with his dad dying, which is mainly that. But obviously he has all the stuff of, being a royal, being a prince, everyone knowing who he is. There's a lot of things that are really tough in his life, and I feel like he has no outlet to talk about it. / he's never really talked about it. Maybe a bit to his sister, but, like, this is a good thing for him and Pez, but to get it out to Alex, someone who, like, he loves and loves him, even if they've not admitted it yet, but to really, like, voice some things out and just get it out into the universe. Also, this is a bit of a sister chapter, which I like, because we get a lot of different stuff on B and June, which is fun as well. There's so much enriching stuff here. Henry says, Mum hasn't been involved in much since Dad died. Henry says on an exhale, then stops short. Sorry, that's not fair. It's The grief has been total for her. It was paralyzing. It is paralyzing. She was such a spitfire. I don't know. She still listens and she tries and she wants us to be happy, but I don't know if she has it in her anymore to be a part of anyone's happiness. I read that and I just my heart crushed for his mum, who I don't think we've seen much of / much in the movie. But it's very hard and very sad to hear about. Obviously, grief is a shit thing for anyone. Like, it's a state where I think, grief is really interesting. It can be horrible. And, it can be a good thing too. It can help you get through things. I think grief can be positive in a way. There's the unbelievable sadness of losing someone, but also, the love and beauty in having someone's memory and appreciating who they were to you and how they were in your life. I think grief is I feel like grief gets a bad rap, but I feel like it has in my opinion, it has two very different things. It's a process, and it's obviously not one thing. It's a journey, and I feel like the way he talks about his mum is that in her journey, she couldn't get through it. I think it was too much, which I completely understand that for some people, and for some people who love so much and love someone so much that it can't ever reach an end where it becomes something beautiful. It could, but maybe they don't have the tools to get there or process it, which is very sad. But even I feel like some of the strongest people probably can't get through it. And the way he talks about it, that, he knows she tries and she loves them and wants them to be happy, but she can't really do anything anymore. She doesn't have that ability for the happiness and the beauty and the love anymore, which is so sad and depressing. And, you would want someone to be able to move on, but it is a journey in yourself as much as anyone else can help. It's got to be something you can do. And to hear Henry just be like, no, my mother can't do that, and obviously not blaming her, but you just feel for him that he lost his father, but in a way he slightly lost his mother as well, which is just crushing to hear. It's so sad because you love the character and you want everything to go well for them. And then we learn about B, and everyone in his family got rocked by the death of his father, which obviously makes sense. But we get some more on B, how she was doing cocaine and she was going out and she was put into rehab and she checked herself out. And then I will start reading here. I remember her calling me that night from a club and I lost it. I was 18, and drove there, and she was sitting on the back steps, high as a kite, and I sat down next to her and cried and told her she wasn't allowed to kill herself because Dad was gone, and I was gay and I didn't know what the hell to do, and that was how I came out to her. The next day, she went back, and she's been clean ever since, and neither of us have told anyone about that night. Until now, I suppose. Which is, to know that, obviously, a death of a family member affects everyone, and it would be so hard. But just, from what we've seen of Henry and B, they're so fun and enjoyable. But to hear all this, it provides so much story into them, and you're like, I know why they're here, why they are, and who they are when they're here, and it makes so much sense. And it's hard, but you can empathize, and it makes you really love them because they've got such a serious and not relatable, but you could understand their backstory. And then Alex goes, I'm glad you told me. Does it feel any better to have said this? Which is just, it's cute that they're there for each other, and just they're starting to want to help each other and get them through things, and love it. It's just these little moments of them. Well, actually, it's a good couple of pages. That's a lot of moments, but of them really talking and really they've talked, but they've never communicated in a way. You know what I mean? They've never hit that stride of all this deep stuff. And I love it. I think that's what separates, sometimes friendship from love, or like, friends from best friends. It's hitting those strides of telling people not just things on the surface. And I think it connects and bonds people beautifully, when you feel comfortable in telling people everything, and they can help you or even just listen. I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's written so well in this chapter. Then Henry goes on to say, he was talking about when he was younger, a brass telescope from his father for his 7th birthday. How he realized by the time he was 4 that every person in the country knew his name, and how he told his mother he didn't know if he wanted them to, and how she knelt down and told him she'd let nothing touch him. Not ever. There's so much to unpack there. But the fact that, like, everyone knows who you are is crazy, especially as a child. Like, to know everyone, to know that everyone knows you and not know everyone, that people know a lot of things about your life and you know nothing about them, and the fact that they can judge you and talk about you, especially as a young kid, is in a way terrifying, especially if you're, maybe if you're a confident person or if you've got a lot of charisma, that can help with those things. But if you're someone who, can be like Henry, I reckon, and, be doubtful and a bit secretive and closed off, and these things are scary to him because he doesn't want people, especially because he's gay in the royal family, he's in such a situation that's so tough on him, having to know, especially from a young age, that you have to shut yourself off because everyone could figure out who you are, is terrifying. Also, that his mum went down and was like, nothing will ever, like, I won't let anyone hurt you or do anything. And then you go back to that bit where she's now paralyzed with grief, and it's horrible, and he doesn't blame her or anything, but it's kind of, she probably doesn't protect him anymore, and she can't, and he's fine with that. But it's just so sad to read about after what we've heard. I don't know, it's rough, and I don't want to talk about it because I'll fucking cry. It's so tough, and it's beautiful when you can empathize, and I've said that before, but it's hard to read. It really is, but it's a great story. And then at the end of their, like, long conversation about different things, it just says, "I miss you," Alex says before he can stop himself. He instantly regrets it, but Henry says, "I miss you too." Someone shoot me. Shoot me in the head. Oh my god. It kills me. Moving on quickly before I cry. Then we get some, so we've learnt some stuff on B, which is great. And then Alex, as per usual, is too busy and caught up with his work that he forgets he's got dinner with June. And we get to go into some good June action because we haven't, like, she's been here, but I like getting to see her, especially, like, obviously loving the movie, but her not existing there, learning about her has been so fun. But I just circled this, which we'll come back to, but it casually states when he is talking about June when he gets back to the residence and he's like, "Sorry, I fucked up and missed dinner." It just quickly talks about how their dad having to braid June's hair on the morning of the first day of school because their mum was in DC and couldn't be there, which I think, like, is very poignant to what we get into. And then Alex goes on, like, "We can have lunch tomorrow, like, I'm sorry I missed it." And she's like, "I don't care about a stupid meal, Alex." And then Alex sighs, "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to not be Mum," June says, finally looking up at him. She closes her food container and gets up off her bed, pacing across the room. It's just, there's a lot of, like, sister and mum talk this chapter, and it's hard, and you completely can see where June's coming from. She's on this way of, their mum also missed out on a lot of their life, and you can see that June's still so proud and knows how important their mum's job is, but obviously it does get in the way of being a mum because she's the president, she's the mum of the nation, and she doesn't, like, blame her or anything, but she's like, "I don't want you to turn out like that because, if you have a family and I know you want to go into politics," and Alex even says, "I'm going to be okay, like, I'm choosing this life." She kind of is like, yeah, but we both experienced this. Like, do you want to put someone else through this? And she's like, you know, you could live a beautiful life. And he's like, you've backed me up. And then she goes, because until now you weren't fucking the Prince of England, which is hilarious. I love that. Again, the casual, even though that's not casual because she's yelling at them, she's like, it's the Prince of England is hilarious. She pulls out the magazine with the photo of Henry at age 13. And, you know, Alex just goes, you knew? And she's like, yeah, of course I know. You can't hide anything from me. You know, big sister eyes. But also, just the fact that she could tell he's been lying to him, sneaking off. You know, he's been focused on work, but he's also been focused on Henry and, you know, no time for her, even though they're so close. And I like that we're getting it all. Like, we've hit the, like, peak. She's had enough, and she's been waiting for him to, like, tell him about Henry for so long, and she's like, no, fuck it, I'm just going on this because I'm sick of it in the dark, and, you know, I can't have my brother lying to me and just not talking to me about all these things, which I appreciate. I like when someone, you know, is like, I want them to tell me, waits a good amount of time, then goes, fuck it, I love you, I want to talk about these things with you, I can't have you not telling me anymore, which I think is, you know, some people would say that's a bit too much. I enjoy it sometimes. When it's written very well, that helps. And then she keeps going on about, you know, Henry not becoming his parents in a way. She says, I don't know, I don't think so, but I wonder. Dad wonders sometimes. Alex, you don't have to wonder. You don't have to be our parents. You can keep Henry and figure the rest out. Sometimes you have a fire under your ass for no good damn reason. You're gonna burn out like this, which is, I like how she's kind of, she sees him very clearly. She knows he's a workaholic. She knows he puts so much on his shoulders. She knows that he never rests, and she knows that he deserves, like, beautiful love, and she's afraid that, I think in a way, that he won't be able to have the life that he deserves by going into politics, which is, you know, he probably could, but I think there's something really sweet about her seeing, she can probably and definitely see the changes in his, like, mannerisms, mood and stuff over the course of him seeing Henry. Like, even though she wasn't explicitly told, she A, knew, B, she could see how, like, positive and happy he was and how much he was enjoying talking to him, and, you know, how he was distracted from her because he's talking to him, and she just wants him to have that, like, beautiful love and life, and it's so sweet. And I don't even think in a way she wants him to completely quit politics. She just wants him to know that maybe that's not all he should focus on, which is nice, because I know she would back him in any way, like, he needs, but I like that she's kind of pushing this agenda of, you know, you can just have a beautiful life if you want, like, a stress-free one, you know, because obviously politics is probably a lot of work. Like, I get both sides, and I get what she's trying to do. I don't think she's trying to say stop, but she's trying to say slow down, possibly, which I do really enjoy, because he works at 1,000 miles an hour. This is just a quick insert because it's just cute when Alex talks about him. It pisses me off sometimes thinking about everything he's been through. He's a good person, he really cares, and he tries. He never deserved any of it. June leans forward, looking at the picture too. Have you ever told him that? We don't really, Alex coughs. I don't know, talk like that. Boys. Boys will be boys. Yeah, literally on the next page. Ugh, men, she groans. Like, everything they say and everything that is written is so cute, the way that they talk about each other. But I'm happy they've started. Like, even though he doesn't tell him specifically, like, what he means or what he deserves, they've started going into the deep stuff, and I think that will only snowball in a good way. They get to the end of their conversation. They fight for a spot on her canopy bed, and she makes him spill what is like to be secretly hooking up with a real-life prince. And so June knows. She knows about him, and she hugs him and doesn't care. He didn't realize how terrified he was of her knowing until the fear is gone. Beautiful. Like, it's just the way it's written is just so, like, you know, he wasn't ever scared of telling her, like, consciously, but he didn't realize how worried he would be, even though he knew she would be fine. Like, there's always that chance, and having her kind of take that forefront or just know it, like, it's just, everything in this chapter, like, while it also crushed me slightly, it just, like, it filled me with such, like, good emotion, and I loved it. Then we jump a couple of pages, because there was a lot of good stuff, but, like, I was just, like, enjoying reading. Sue me. But Alex graduates, the last of the White House trio graduates. They have all the stuff with, we're going, and I'm quickly recapping the politics stuff just so we know where we're at. Some guy drops out, so it's his mum versus some other guy. The party just disappears because everyone's got to figure out game plans. Dad is talking to Luna, and they're talking in Spanish, and they were talking in secrets, and there was a bit of like a, what's going on. This guy that his mum is running against maybe did some shady shit in the past. There's like this like weird like secret subplot, which I like, but I don't fully understand yet. So I want to see if that comes back, because it's very interesting. But I don't know enough about it to talk about it for like 10 minutes. But it happens, and it was interesting. But we go to another fundraiser. The whole gang, Pez, Henry, June, Nora, Alex, yep, that's the 5 of them, go to karaoke bar, which is different how it is in the movie, but I like both. Like, it's weird because I see different bits of how things work, but I like both of them for different reasons. But, I haven't had vodka since uni, Henry says. It tends to make me, flamboyant, Pez offers. Uninhibited, Randy. Fun, B suggests. Excuse me, I'm loads of fun all the time. I'm a delight. Hello, excuse me, can we get another round of these, please? Alex calls the bar, which is just, it's cute little, like, drunk antics. Like, it's these moments when you appreciate from, like, all the hardness and toughness where they open up and they're, being a prince, being a first son, where they just get to be, like, young adults and enjoy their life, which I think is great and I love, because, I want them to, you want them to be happy, not always, strict in work and the lives that they are forced to live. Then they have they text, what could be stupider than this, and he's like, I want to give you a blowjob in the bathroom, which I think is hilarious. Then we get to Henry singing. 30 minutes and 2 more rounds later, Henry is in front of a screaming crowd, absolutely butchering Don't Stop Me Now, which is cute. I love the visuals of him singing in the movie, and I think it's so funny because Nicholas Glitzine, I don't know, is that an actor's name fully? I know I can see it, but I don't know how it's said. But he's like a good singer, which is hilarious because in the book it kind of says like he's not a good singer. So I think it's funny how maybe in the movie he had to try and be a bit worse than he is. But I just love that little like switch up between them. But I circled this bit because I loved it so much. Alex feels a tug on his arm, B dragging him down to the stage. She grabs his hand and spins him like a ballerina twirl, and he puts one of her roses between his teeth, and they watch Henry and grin at each other through the noise. Alex feels somewhere, under the 50 layers of booze, something crystal clear radiating off her, a shared knowledge of how rare and wonderful this version of Henry is. Oh, that makes me want to cry. Just both of them knowing, like, both of them being the people who know him best and know how he goes through his, episodes of, like, depression and sadness and grief and times where he has to remove himself and all the pressure of a prince, and then seeing him up there being his true, authentic self, loving life, enjoying it, singing, having a great time with their friends, and both of them just being able to see that together is just so sweet, and they've all, like, bonded, and it's fucking adorable. And it hurts to read because I love it so much. Then, seemingly to the final part of the chapter, we get their first, all the way sexy. Firstly, I say that there's, there's a lot of different definitions of sex. I think if you like look into sex is not always, it doesn't always have to be penetrative, and it's, there's a whole thing about different sexualities and what classifies as sex. And I think that, a lot of media get it wrong when, sex is only one thing, where I think it's a multitude of things, and, sex doesn't have to be this, doesn't have to be this. It's up to the person, what you define as. But I'm going to not go fully into that. Me doing one unit of gender studies in university and thinking I could talk about it forever, which that topic I could, but I think it's very interesting, but I'm not going to go too much into it. But just when I know I'm saying all the way sex, I'm not trying to diminish any of their other sexual acts as not sex. They're doing butt stuff. Me trying to be eloquent, I do that too much. I try and talk around and then just have to get to the point because I've made myself confused. Before they actually get into it, I love this. Henry pushes his hand into his hair and gives it a little pull. I shall just have to make this the best orgasm of your life. What can I do to make it good for you? Talk about American tax reform during the act? Have you got talking points? I love the way they go back in and out of banter. I love it. Then they have that moment where they agree to, have penetrative sex, which in my mind in the movie, maybe I should rewatch the movie, but I feel like it isn't obviously they have different timelines and that makes so much sense, but I thought this would come a lot later, but I guess I'm halfway through the book, so it makes sense. But it's very cute, they talk about it, they talk through it. They're like, are you sure? Are we ready? And it's a beautiful way, communication is key, and that's fantastic. But then we jump down, and I loved this part. Alex rolls his eyes, ready to snark, except Henry sucks 2 fingers into his mouth, very efficiently shutting him the hell up. It's incredible and baffling. The way Henry's confidence comes in waves like this, how he struggles so much to get through the asking for what he wants, and then readily takes it the moment he's given permission. Like at the bar, how the right push had him dancing and shouting, as if he's been waiting for someone to tell him he was allowed to do it. Everything that they say about Henry is so cute, and it just makes me so warm inside, and I hate, the right push to just be himself, and he wants permission for everything, because, he's grown up in such a strict life, and he can't be himself, and he loves to be himself, and everything's cute, and everything kills me. Oh god, I'm just going on for paragraph to paragraph now, because if I think about it too much, I'll just, cry. When they're in the deed, I circled this chapter. He's watching Henry's face. He can't imagine looking at anything other than Henry's face right now. And his expression goes soft, and his mouth so happy and astonished that Alex's voice speaks without his permission. A hoarse baby. Henry nods, so small that someone who didn't know all his tics might miss it. But Alex knows exactly what it means. So he leans down, sucks Henry's earlobes between his lips, and calls him baby again. And Henry says yes and please and tugs his hair at the root. It's just, obviously, this is a bit of, a smutty, cute sex, paragraph. But the way, they're just connected. When he says, he knows all his tics, the way that it is both, sex, but it symbolizes the way that they know each other. Well, it doesn't symbolize it. It tells us directly. But the way they know each other and how they're so close and they know every detail, every bit of it just makes me, you know what I mean? You read it and you love it and it's so much. They shower together. Henry's mood turns dark and sour over morning coffee at the harsh reality of returning to London so soon. And Alex kisses him dumbly and promises to call and wishes that there was more he could do. He watches Henry lather up and shave, put pomade in his hair, put on his Burberry for the day, and he catches himself wishing he could watch it every day. He likes taking Henry apart, but there's something incredibly intimate about sitting on the bed they wrecked the night before, the only one who watches him create Prince Henry of Wales for the day. Just them... I just want them to move in together and have a cute little, like, loft or apartment or big house. You know, they have money, they could afford anything, and they love each other, and they just want to be with each other every day. And the way he just likes taking a part of him, and the way he says he watches him put Prince Henry together, because that's not his real self. You know, that's a persona, which it is. Like, obviously, some bits of it are probably authentic, but some bits aren't, because he can't be himself, and he watches him build himself up, and it just, I love their love. How can you not? And then finally, because I told you this was going to be a long one, and it was just for one chapter, Cash, who also, because there was only really Amy in the movie, Cash, every time I see him, I'm like, who the fuck is this man? I have to remind myself. Cash chuckles under his breath when he meets them at the elevator, a tray of 6 coffees balanced on one hand. Hangover tending isn't a part of his job description, but he's a mother hen. So this is the gang now, huh? And through it all, Alex realizes with a start, he has friends now. He has friends now. That is so adorable. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's just, I don't know. Like, I've seen, like, people in the comments. I love all your comments. Thank you very much. I've been enjoying them so much. I love reading and replying. But I've seen, you know, wait until chapter 6, which was great because, you know, it was all the sex. And someone was like, you know, chapter 10 is going to be great. Why hasn't anyone talked about chapter 7? It is my favorite chapter so far. I don't know. I thought that was just, like, I've loved every bit of the book, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed every chapter, and, you know, every bit has been so good. But chapter 7, you know, it just had all that I wanted, and it had such seriousness and not seriousness and sex and fun and friendship and love. It just had, like, I feel like chapter 7 could be its own chapter by itself. It could be a short story, and I would love it. But yeah, I just enjoyed that one so much. I definitely thought I couldn't do another chapter because I just wanted to talk about so much about it, which we can see by how long this fucking video is. I'm sorry I talked your ear off, but I got things to say and I just want to, you know, talk about it and experience all the cool bits. And sometimes I know that half the time I'm just reading the book to you, but it makes me happy, and I hope y'all enjoying it too, because I'm having a fun time doing our, well, now part read along book club together. And I don't know, it's just so fun, and this chapter was so good, but I can't wait for, you know, chapter 8 and then 9 and 10, you know, when they just have those big chapters. I already talk too much, so I gotta keep some chapters singular, because we'd be gone for like 2-3 hours imagine if there was 2 chapter 7s, imagine how long I could talk from that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed and are enjoying this read along with me. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next one.